This affidavit, compiled by investigators here in Mesquite, contains new and graphic details about the alleged drug deal that went bad and the revenge plot that ended in murder.
3-year-old Christy Cowan was killed and her 10-year-old sister Brittany critically wounded in this Mesquite trailer Wednesday morning.
This is 19-year-old Bo Maestas. Both he and his 16-year-old sister Monique Maestas have now been formally charged with murder with a deadly weapon.
The mother and the boyfriend of the children delivered or sold some controlled substance to Bo and his sister. It wasn't what they thought it was going to be, and apparently they went back to the parents' trailer.
But the parents were not in the trailer, just the two girls, at which point Christiana and Brittany were stabbed repeatedly.
The attack on my girls is nothing short of a violent, premeditated murder and attempted murder. I will do everything in my power to make sure they are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I encourage prosecutors to go for the death penalty.
Since Maestas has already admitted his guilt, the jury will decide only his fate. The plea deal dramatically changes the picture for Maestas' sister Monique, who was supposed to go to trial with him on murder charges. Her trial will now be held separately.
My client is facing a first-degree murder case, and I won't give her permission to accept paperwork from anyone. And I'm going up to see her right now.
I don't even know who you are. I mean, you have a business card. I have a business card. I have to clear this with the attorney I'm hired by. I'll be glad to give them to you.
I'm with the Clark County Special Defender's Office. I represent Monique Maestas.
And also Bo, though?
No, Bo has a different attorney.
Okay,
They have to
so
have different attorneys.
So you want to accept just for one, then?
My client, that's the only client I can speak for, is Monique Maestas. There was a process server downstairs, and I heard your name. So I said to him, I said, do you have something for Monique Maestas? And he said, yes. Turns out that, you know, that there are people, they're suing the Casablanca in this whole civil thing.
Yeah.
Well, they plan to come here and take your deposition. I will instruct you that you're not to talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. So if you get anything that looks like this, tell them you are to send that to my attorney, Ms. Jackson. I'm not to accept this. I don't even want to discuss this with you. It's just distracting for me. And we'll take care of that.
Okay. And
all right.
I'm done with the psych, right?
You know what? That's a good question. We gonna have to talk to you about that in private, Dave and I, because part of what we may do, and your brother's in favor of this, is to have him come in, the doctor, and kind of give a basis for what, you know, Bo is saying. And what Bo is saying is not a secret. I can say it. Bo is saying basically you were there, you didn't do anything. And what the doctor may be called upon to do is to analyze your personality and your background and your relationship with your brother in terms of that's your older brother. And, you know, most people would say, well, God, if I saw that, I would turn tail and run. We got to have a doctor explain how the bond between a brother and a sister who have been separated and then come to have a chance to be together. And then when you throw drugs into the mix, how that could happen. So if he were going to do that and needed to see you again, would that be okay?
Good.
And you could talk.
He was really nice.
He volunteers his time to working with children here in Nevada, so he understands how children develop and how they're influenced, you know, by their environment. He understands that better than most. That's why I thought he'd be great for you, because you were a child when this happened. You were 17. That's a minor child.
Department 14 is now in session. Judge Donald Mosley presiding. Please be seated.
Calling C-191934, State of Edwards Bo Centeno Maestas. The record reflect the presence of the defendant and his counsel, Mr. Onos and Mr. Erickson. We have Mr. Roger and Mr. Schultz present for the state. Will counsel stipulate that all members of the jury present properly seated?
Yes, Your Honor.
Opening remarks, please.
Counsel, Judge Mosley. Ladies and gentlemen, on January the 22nd, 2003, the unthinkable happened. Inside a small trailer, the Casablanca RV park in Mesquite, Nevada, two young, innocent girls, Christiana, age 3, and her sister Brittany, age 10, were brutally and savagely stabbed and beaten and left for dead. Christiana Cowan, age 3, died as a result of the stab wounds she sustained, while her older sister, Brittany Bergeron, was rendered a paraplegic for the rest of her life and will never, ever walk again. The evidence will show that the two people responsible for these cruel, senseless crimes were the defendant and his younger sister, Monique Maestas. According to the defendant, the motive for these crimes was that Tammy Bergeron, the mother of those two little girls, had ripped the defendant off in a drug deal. The evidence will show that the defendant went back to the Casablanca hotel, confronted Tammy, and ordered her basically to give him back his money, or things would get ugly. And they did, based upon the evidence that you will hear. Ladies and gentlemen, the state of Nevada, at the conclusion of this penalty hearing, is going to ask you to return a verdict sentencing this defendant to death and nothing less for what he did to those two little girls.
We're starting trial the end of this month.
Right.
And with Bo, I didn't have a chance to talk to you after I saw your brother last time.
Mm-hmm.
Have you talked to him?
Not for a little while.
Not for a little while. It was a real good visit.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's made it clear to his attorney, to me, and to everybody that his concern is about you. He loves you so much.
Yeah. Will I be going to court with him anytime soon? Like, will we be seeing each other in court? Because I'm looking forward to it. I want to see him in court again.
Well, we may. The judge has given us 2 weeks to do your case, but if Bo's case runs long, for example, we never know how long the jury will be out. A jury could be out for an hour.
Okay.
A jury could be out for a day, and they can be out for a week. So during that time, we can't start because his case is not technically over until they come back with a verdict. But see, one good thing about it, once he starts it, he's going to want to finish it. All right, any questions?
No.
All right. Okay, sweetie, it's good to see you.
It was nice to meet you too.
All right, give me a hug. You be good.
Okay.
If you have any questions, you call Maribel or I.
Okay.
All right. Okay, take care, baby.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Does defense counsel wish to make an opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, we would.
Go right ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We've gone through the part of coming to a conclusion as to whether or not Bo is guilty, and now we are here to decide what the appropriate punishment is. And I want to take you briefly through a short timeline of Bo Maestas' experience. His father is Harry Maestas. In July 1974, Bo's father was convicted of murder. 4 years after his conviction, Bo's mother, Marilyn, married Harry while he was in prison and gave birth to all 3 of her children from Harry Maestas while he was in prison for murder. The oldest there is Misty, Bo, and Monique. The family outings that these children were exposed to growing up were not going to Disneyland, they were to the state penitentiary. As a 3rd grader, he is diagnosed with attention deficit disorder. Marilyn opts to use marijuana to get to calm Bo down rather than the Ritalin. Eventually, Harry is paroled, and from '86 on, both Harry and Marilyn are involved heavily in distributing drugs from the home. And you will learn that there was a fight over a drug dispute. Someone was attacked with hammers, and the kids, they were told by the mother to clean the blood up and to not say anything to the police about what had happened. In 1993, Harry's back in prison in California. He and his sisters were sent out there to visit the father, and during that time, Bo learns that his father, during these visits in the prison system, was molesting his two sisters. I think you'll be amazed at what those kids were exposed to their entire lives.
Dave? Yeah. You got a minute? Sure. I just left the courthouse, and they've started Bo's penalty hearing today. And from what I understand, we're going to have to start with Monique's trial as soon as they're finished, period. So then now, in terms of us preparing our case, we need to kind of split it up, because I think one of us need to try to go over and monitor what's going on with these witnesses in Bo's penalty hearing, because they're the same people we need. And at the same time, we've got to prepare our trial. And let's say we don't know what the verdict is for his sentencing. How can we strategically determine how to even fashion an opening, what witnesses to call?
Bo says, like we expect him to, takes responsibility and says Monique didn't have anything to do with it. Then we need to ask questions that go that way, and we need to do an opening that tells the jury that's our defense. But if he gets death, I don't see any way in the world that any attorney will let him testify, and I certainly wouldn't want to try to force him to testify.
So if he gets death, he's really unavailable.
It's crucial. It's crucial that he not get death for us.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Let me direct your attention to January the 22nd, 2003 at about 1:55, close to 2 a.m. in the morning. Did you have occasion to go to the Casablanca RV Park, Space 36 in Mesquite, Nevada?
Yes, sir. We had an emergency tone out for a stabbing incident.
And could you describe for the members of the jury what you observed upon your arrival?
Yes, sir. As I exited my patrol vehicle, I observed a small female, later identified as Christiana Cowan. She was lying in her grandmother's arms just outside of the trailer. And I could hear her screaming coming from inside the trailer. I checked for vital signs on Christiana. They were, thank you, sir. They were shallow, but she was still alive.
Did there come a time when you left Christiana with her grandmother and actually entered the trailer?
As soon as I assessed Christiana, I entered the trailer. Brittany was laying on the floor of the trailer, just totally covered in blood, and her mother, Tammy, was above her. She pulled a towel away, and I observed, at first I observed a couple stab wounds to the hip region of Brittany, and then upon assessing her further, I lifted up her shirt and saw several more.
Did you ask Brittany what had happened to her?
She said the male subject grabbed her and Christiana and covered their mouths and she tried fighting him off by kicking and punching and trying to bite him, but he was too strong. And then she said that everything went black.
Did she make any other statements to you at that time, sir?
She looked up at me and told me she didn't want to die. And I told her she wasn't going to die. I was there to help her.
The continuation of C-191934, State of Edwards Bow, Santino Maestas.
Showing your state's proposed exhibit number 36. Move for submission.
Any objection?
No.
I receive. Thank you.
According to the Will Bill statement, your sister was in the trailer with you. I think she was in the trailer. I can try to replay that shit. It's just, I can't see her anywhere in there. Now I realize that you guys would talk, but you shouldn't take the blame for everything. We're not trying to pin everything on your sister, but we know she was in the trailer. We know she was holding the knife. Your sister got blood on her in that trailer. Your sister didn't seem to think she was, for some reason, she was able to stop when she was stabbing a 10-year-old girl. Did she lose it? No, I stabbed both. I stabbed both. I had the knives. I stabbed in my mouth. I went in and did it. Everything. We appreciate you saying that. From what she said, she was involved. I'm not saying she did more than you. No, I did all of it.
I think she's probably concerned about what's going to happen to Bo.
Yeah. Well, I told you that one time when we were, when I was interviewing her, and I noticed that she just wouldn't, get emotional about anything. And we were talking about very serious issues like molestation and all of that. And I explained that, Bo had indicated that he wanted to take, the blame for her. And that was really the only time that I saw her tear up.
Mom tends to be somewhat defensive because some of the stuff that happened doesn't cast her in the best light. And I'm not saying I blame her. I mean, if it were me, I would say, okay, I don't like this coming out about me, but if it'll help my child.
I was arguing with her on the visit. I kept saying it's not about you. It's not even about me. Right now it's about Bo.
Exactly.
And, she stormed off and left my aunt sitting there in the visiting room.
We just have to be aware of that and not let that person, get to us. Okay. So basically what's going to happen is David is going to do, our objective is to convince the jury that if you are not guilty, or even if you are guilty, we're going to go for a not guilty, and absent that, we're going to go for a verdict less than first degree. All of the cases in this jurisdiction for the last 10 or 15 years that benefit first degree murder clients, David Sheik was the man who did those.
Okay.
So that's just called using your best person for the job, and my ego is not so large to where I can't sit down and shut up and let Mr. Sheik do his thing.
Right.
If there is a conviction of first degree murder, then that's where I think my strong suit comes in. I think I'm able to be much more passionate. David is a very laid-back guy, and so if there is a verdict for first degree, then I'll spring into action. Toward that end, Bo's going to testify. He's going to talk in terms of what really happened and how you were kind of in the background, and it all happened so fast you didn't have a chance to think or stop him or what have you.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, and we have the little girl who's we think is going to testify, and so far all she's ever said is that she seems to recall someone holding her. That's all she's ever said in reference to anybody outside of Bo. So I think we are in very good shape. Don't you worry.
Okay.
And I don't have to, I know that you trust us, and so that's all that we ask. Right. We'll take care of you. Okay.
Next witness, please.
Stay with Dr. Coach. What is your profession, sir?
I am a trauma surgeon at UMC Hospital.
And when you first came in contact with Brittany Bergeron, what were your observations?
She was awake, she was talking to us. We knew we had to take her to surgery. We weren't able to even count, but there were certainly more, I think, than 20 stab wounds to her at that time.
Did she have any interaction with her sister, Christiana?
Yeah, in fact, it was hard to get her to focus on the exam because most of her attention was to the bed that was maybe 4 or 5 feet away and what was going on with her little sister.
Do you recall if you observed any defensive wounds on Brittany?
Brittany had multiple stab and slash wounds across both arms, the type of wound you would see if somebody was putting their arm up or trying to protect themselves.
Do you have an opinion as to the type of force that would be needed to generate those wounds?
There were 2 stab wounds to her back, and these had to be delivered with great force because they actually had to go partially through bone. And they separated the bone that are stacked on top of each other, vertebrae in the back, and when they went through that bone, they severed the spinal cord. That's why she was unable to move her legs.
Doctor, were these injuries sustained by Brittany life-threatening?
Yes, sir.
Did you want to divide up the witnesses today? Do you want?
Sure. I'm just trying to really only thinking of Brittany from her perspective. Which one of us would be less threatening for her? You're such a laid-back guy.
It will be, David.
See, and I talk so loud, and I'm so, even though I'm a woman and I'm very much into kids, she might, and I'm black, she might find me more threatening.
I think if we just get her to stick to what she said in her statement and just leave it at that. And unless she varies and suddenly has a recollection that Monique was involved more than just holding her, I think we just leave her alone.
We can't do anything for this child, but maybe that's the one thing we can do.
Okay, but she's just got up there and she's just testified about this horrible thing happening, and then we've got most of the jury probably crying after the doctors described how she was more concerned about her sister than about herself. I mean, do we really want to even ask her any questions?
I doubt it.
Even if she's pulled something on us or changed.
Even if she says Monique stabbed her, we're just going to have to probably live with that, aren't we, David?
Myra Medina, M-E-D-I-N-A.
Showing you State's Exhibit 20. Does that appear to be the way Brittany looked when you came in contact with her on the 23rd of January?
Yes.
Were you able to conduct an interview with Brittany Bergeron on January 23rd, 2003?
Yes, I was. She told me that she had been awoken by a knock on the door and that a male asked her if her mother was Tamara Bergeron, and Brittany responded, yes, she is. The male said, you need to come with me. She said, well, I don't go with anyone. So she said from there she moved on forward to put her gym shoes on and heard a second knock on the door. She said at that point a female came to the door who told her, your mother has been hurt really bad and you need to come with me.
Did you ask her if she would be able to describe either the male or the female?
I did, and at that point she began crying. So I did return with 3 different photo lineups, and I presented them to Brittany.
Ms. Medina, with regard to that first lineup, if anything did she say concerning those 6 photographs that you observed?
She, without hesitation, immediately pointed to the picture in position number 3 and recognized Monique Maestas as the female who had held her down in that evening.
So that would be the top right-hand
right
side as we look at it?
That's correct.
I was thinking was I would take all the crime scene people and the cops on everything, and then you would do the methamphetamine people.
Okay.
Okay, which would include Sabrina. She said that Bo, he looked like he was amped up, that she had seen him on methamphetamine before. She'd seen him amped up before, trying to say he was really under the influence of the methamphetamine.
Yeah.
But this is the same girl that says that she was going to break up with him. It's either the drugs or me the night before. And so you know he must have been on a run the night before, too.
Right.
In fact, they probably had him into bed that night. That's that party they had when they first got over
So
there.
all of these would be my
Yeah.
meth people. Okay.
And what I want to do is just focus on each one to show that Bo was more culpable than Monique was, you know, from the point of even going in and getting the knives. And I think I've got Sabrina for you, and then I've got Dad for you. I don't know if they're going to call her Dad or not. I think they kind of have to, because to me, Sabrina has no credibility if she's going to say it's 1:30 tonight, her dad is asleep, and her boyfriend is going to take her someplace, and she wakes him up and says, Dad, can we take some knives with us?
Sabrina Bantam, B-A-N-T-A-M.
Ms. Bantam, when did you first meet Bo Santino Maestas?
My junior year in high school, 2001.
Did that relationship turn into a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship?
Yes, it did.
How is it they arrived at your house and what happened?
It was around 1:30 in the morning, and he had his younger sister Monique with him.
How were they acting when they came over to your house?
They were a little upset. A lot. Bo had come to the trailer door, and he just asked me if I had something sharp, and I said yes, and I asked him what for, and he said doesn't matter. So I went back into the trailer, and my dad was sleeping, and I had asked my dad if he had anything sharp, and my dad said that he had his knives in the drawer. He used to be a chef for 30 years and said take what he needs and tell him to bring back what he doesn't use.
When you got into the car, what happened?
What I can remember right now, I'm not sure if we drove around, but I know we ended up parking in the Casablanca employee parking.
What happened?
Bo said that he was going to go talk to someone, and he said that if we saw a white vehicle to honk the horn.
What happened when he returned?
He just stated that the little girls in the trailer would not let him in.
What did Monique say?
She said that she would go with him this time because the little girls would probably let her in.
Did you see them return?
Yes.
What did you note?
That his hands were bloody and he had blood on his clothing, and...
Was there any discussion as to what had happened on the trip back to Grandma's house?
Monique had said sorry that she'd stabbed him in the hand. She said that the little girl was biting her and kicking and screaming, so...
Was there any conversation about Monique doing anything to the little girl?
In the car, she had stated that she was trying to stab the little girl in the organs, and she just kept stabbing.
Do you recall telling detectives that Monique said, I should have sliced the girl's neck then, but I was too scared. I couldn't do it first. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
I would move for the admission of states. Proposed exhibit number 41, which is an evidence package.
Any objection? Drive is received. Thank you.
Lieutenant, if you would step down for a moment.
The pajama top was originally recovered from the living room floor where Brittany Bergeron was located.
During the investigation, Lieutenant, did you impound all of those items?
Yes, I did.
That's 42A. That's 42A. We will display that for the jury. What is it?
It's a 12-inch fixed blade butcher knife with a white synthetic handle.
Is that the butcher knife that the defendant used to murder the little baby and her sister?
That's the knife.
David, hi, it's Elzora. Good morning. There was a message that was for either Dave or I, so I just wanted to make sure I get back in touch with you this morning. With the low end being 56 years, she wasn't real receptive to that. Can we do anything at all? Just a wee bit, perhaps? Yeah. Okay, but can we just, till the close of business today for a final answer? Would that be appropriate? Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, God.
What's he coming up with?
He's not budging. He's not budging. Okay, so, all right. So we know we're going to trial. So I guess
that's why he called, because his offer stands just the way it was. No deals, nothing better.
Did she accept the offer?
Oh God! All right.
Would you?
All right.
For 56 to 200 years?
Misty, please state and spell your last name for the record.
My last name is Mestas, M-A-E-S-T-A-S.
And your first name?
Misty.
Thank you. Misty, what is your relationship to Bo Maestas?
I am Bo's oldest sister.
Where do you currently reside?
Right now I live in Clearfield, Utah.
And who do you live there with?
I live with my mother-in-law, my husband, and our 2 kids.
Misty, if you would, I'd like you to paint a picture of the family life that you and Bo grew up with to this jury. And I'd like to start off with your father, Harry Maestas. Overall, how would you characterize Harry as a father?
He was a bad father. He was a violent man. He was an angry man. My father has been in prison most of his life. He would get furloughs, and when he came home, it was like the prison had come home with him.
What was he in prison for?
He was in prison for murder, for drugs.
Were you frightened by him?
Yes, we were all intimidated of my father.
Would he make threats?
Yes, both him and my mother had threatened to kill my great-grandfather to acquire the property that my grandfather had. I specifically remember my mother saying that using my dad like as leverage against other people, that if they didn't do what she wanted them to do, that she would get my father to fuck them in the ass, to sodomize them, that she was using horrible threats like that.
Could you testify to this jury of a single instance when you're aware of your parents showing any sort of affection or love?
No. In our family, we never did that. We insulted each other. We threatened each other, and we said hurtful things instead of loving things. It was a sick relationship that we had.
And if you could answer this question, I would be greatly appreciative. Did he have a particular belief as to how you obtain revenge against someone?
Yes. Yes, I clearly remember both my mother and father saying that if you want to get back at somebody, if you want to hurt somebody, you get them where it counts and you hurt their family, you hurt their kids.
Judge Mosley's chambers.
Hi, Judy. It's Al Zora. How are you today?
Fine, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Getting ready to get ready?
Getting ready to get ready, yeah. I was calling. Do you know when they're going to be closing, babe?
There's one witness. It's a doctor. The defense is calling at 1:30, and then they're doing closings.
Okay. Now, I know you don't know, but have you heard any rumors or anything? If the jury's out, let's say the jury takes a couple of days, do you know if the judge would be inclined to want us to start even while both jury is out?
I'm assuming, and what my understanding is that we'll be starting jury selection tomorrow. But I will make sure, talk to him. He's going to be breaking pretty soon here for his revos, and I will make sure that's clear.
All right.
What do we look like for any negotiations? Is that out?
The offer is pretty much for life without. That's what the offer is, and you know, life without is the worst we can do in a jury trial.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I don't recommend clients to take what they can get from juries. I don't respect lawyers who do that.
Yeah. All right, well, let me talk to him and make sure that we're all on the same page, okay?
Okay, bye-bye. She says we're starting jury selection in the morning.
I told her we're not starting until Wednesday. If we're starting tomorrow, Maribel's going to have to get the clothes and get...
Oh, yeah.
You can call him back and tell him she said no.
Hello, David.
David, hi, it's Al Zora. I found my boss. He was actually over talking to Monique.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't want that deal, Dave.
Okay.
I thought we were going to trail Bo. I didn't know we were going to start if Bo's still deliberating.
You know, I mean, it doesn't matter one way or another to me.
I just think it makes it harder.
Mosley's under the impression that we're starting tomorrow, I think.
We'll be there. But I don't know, it just might make it hard to pick a jury if they've been watching all the publicity on Bo and they still haven't made a decision.
Monique's trial starts tomorrow.
And when are you guys gonna have me come down?
You're going to be either Monday or Tuesday. Okay. But we're going to let you know.
All right.
David actually spoke with her this morning. She said she used size 8.
She's such a liar. She does not wear size 8. It's more like 12. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was wait a minute, because they need a fit.
That's a right.
She's going to be uncomfortable.
She wants tight little clothes. No, I'm just kidding. She probably does wear an 8.
If we had a top to go with this, I think we're going to be fine. But
like a bra? So we could go brown, tan, or pink.
All right, let's grab these two.
Okay.
That's cute. Try these on. Not too big of a heel.
I like the round toe.
I mean, because they look like, you know, the girls' school girls.
A modest.
I like the strap around the front.
She's really good with makeup, and she can blend, and she'll be able to work with it.
This is one skirt. This would be the bottom, and this would be the sweater that goes around it.
Yeah, they're perfect.
On top.
That's
cute. Is that cute? For tomorrow, first day impression. All right.
Did she get to wear stockings?
I didn't get her any, but we can get her stockings.
I just was curious.
Okay. So is this a decent little?
Yeah, I like that.
And this would be.
Is she gonna be okay in a skirt? You think she know how to sit like a lady?
She said, you know, and I was talking to Misty. She said, yeah, I mean, she should be fine.
Okay. All right. this is what we're dealing with. And the options for first-degree murder are life without, life with parole, and then a term of years, which is 20 to 50 plus 20 to 50. You still want to try to avoid the life without, because the pardons board, they're forbidden. They cannot, by law, commute a life without. Everything else, they can legally commute that. So that's what we want you to be aware of in the trial.
Okay.
You have to, kind of control your impulses.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are we with the makeup?
I don't want the buns.
All right.
Misty was wearing them today, and she looks cute, but it's not court appropriate.
Well, I just asked for a hair clip. I won't do the chun-li buns or anything like that.
All right, baby. Okay.
I've got some foundation for you,
All right.
some makeup,
And
some
I'll come in without
corrector.
eyebrows on. Okay.
What do you have a lighter shade of brown
I
that
don't.
you can do anything with?
This is okay, because I don't want it to not have
too-
any.
No, me neither. Maybe not a thin line,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit fuller.
Yes, and I might go to court in the afternoon, so it's about
Start
what
at
time?
1:30,
Okay.
which means that they'll probably bring you over.
Come and get you about 11, 12-ish.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. They'll get you dressed.
Okay.
Be careful how you, with your mouth. You tend to pucker up, and that looks bad.
Okay.
Okay.
We were telling
no
Misty
direct
about-
eye contact with any camera crews or.
Thank you again, you guys, for doing this for me.
Oh, are you kidding? No, no problem.
Not always at our job.
Yeah, it's our job. Forget it. No.
Okay.
This is the fun part. Shopping. Yeah.
Thank you, Officer Hadsell, and we'll see you tomorrow, sweetheart. Try to get a
I
good
hope you
night's
weren't
sleep.
too horribly disappointed.
No, thank you
Okay.
again.
All right. Bye bye.
That went really well.
Yeah, it did. She didn't like it in the beginning.
You know what? She was such a good food, and thank you guys. Bless her little heart.
Yeah. I think it looks great.
On days like this, it just breaks my heart for her.
I
Throw
got
her
the
anything.
pictures, and I want us to review them. They're quite telling. You can't tell me this isn't cute. Look at Bo.
Oh,
Look
they
at that.
should have used.
Look at that. Oh, look. Okay. Fart. Oh, no. It says, hey, loser. You better hurry up with your stupid shit. I need a new car, maybe a navy blue Jeep with fat tires and chrome with black interior. The Mustang is not chopping the block. Love the nanny goat. Hail Satan, Mom.
Hail Satan?
Yes.
Ooh, we're gonna use this in ours.
Mom in the truck.
This is a must-see.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe them when they say that she started the trucking job to haul dope.
But what is telling is that all of the pictures that we have of Harry take place inside a prison. You think that he's in a beach somewhere in Venice. It's the prison. This is the way he participates in family, I guess. Is sending pictures via prison. Love you, my Estes.
I just don't understand the state of Utah's relationship with convicted murderers. They gave him an unrestricted driver's license.
Closing remarks?
Ladies and gentlemen, these are a lot of the mitigators. Number 3 is basically what I was talking about, was the youth and maturity of Bo at the time of the crime. I want to stress the fact that we are not up here trying to make excuses, some abuse excuse or something like that. We are saying that this is a young man who had a horrific background, whose horrific background affected him in a cognitive fashion, severely impaired him. Those are his environmental factors. Those are his caregivers in his formative years. Those are the people that are instilling values or lack thereof in him. Those are the people that are teaching him right from wrong. I'm asking you to go through an analytical framework, to consider the evidence we've presented, to consider who he is, to consider what he's been through, to consider what he's become. You sentence him to die, the law requires you to presume that that's going to happen. You have other alternatives. You can ensure that he never gets out again. I am asking you for life. There are substantial reasons to give life. Please give life.
Who wrote this?
Monique.
Monique Masters is a confused person, but more importantly, a pathetic soul. I am a dreamer. I would like to believe that a prince will rescue me one day. I would like to be able to write very well. I think every girl, at least in this country, is raised to believe that Prince Charming is going to come along and he's going to rescue us.
I just feel so sorry for her. So these are the ones that you picked from what we had? Okay.
Yeah, these are the
Right.
ones that caught my eye. I figured there was a story to tell. And your mom and your aunt.
Correct.
Which one's your mom?
My mom's this one back here.
So it's his aunt that's sitting on his lap? That seems kind of sexually intimate. Were they sexually intimate?
She says no, but my mom always said yes, that she was.
Is this your dad or another guy?
That's my dad.
So he was into bodybuilding at one time?
Right, I think just weightlifting.
Your dad appears to me to be gay or bisexual.
Oh, yeah, I'm 100% sure that he is.
Oh, okay, so, that's not okay. That's what I'm getting from some of these pictures.
We always would make jokes about him being gay and, taking it in the butt and stuff like that, so.
Well, most guys who go to prison, a lot.
Right.
Well, I shouldn't say most, but from what I understand.
Right.
This here seems to me like two
sexy guy lovers.
Yeah. Number 17. And to your knowledge, did he get loaded when he was in prison?
Yeah. From what I knew, they would take drugs back to the prison. I remember, they would fill up little balloons with cocaine.
Or anus?
I never saw them actually insert it, but I did see them filling little tiny balloons. This is when we were down there visiting and when he put his hand up my shirt.
It's just not appropriate.
Right.
I'm gonna put all these prison ones together. This will be number 12. Here's one of my personal favorites. They all have cigars.
I think that's probably even a joint that he's smoking. You can just tell.
It's a joint.
Yeah.
He might have been in prison, but he didn't miss much in terms of life.
He didn't.
He had a ball.
Yeah.
And then Marilyn looks totally loaded, doesn't she?
She would get high all the time. She is so on so much dope right there. You can see from the weight difference. Yeah. And they used to take all kinds of cross tops and speed, like unbelievable amounts.
The man with the plan with the octopus hands. Who the hell is this?
That's Uncle Pokey. This is the one who was getting sponge bathed by his mom up until he was 16 years old.
Son of a bitch. Monique says Pokey molested her.
I believe that.
I didn't make this up. Uncle Pokey, the child molester.
Mm-hmm. Great family.
Don't let him hide behind his background to escape responsibility for what he did. Look at Brittany Bergeron's childhood. If anyone has a reason to be angry with the world, it's that young child. What's Brittany thinking when the female defendant's sister is holding her down and the defendant is stabbing her? It takes two to do what they did to Brittany Bergeron. Little Christiana. What's going on in her mind when this defendant puts that knife through that poor little girl's head? What's going on in her mind when this defendant holds that child in the air, off the ground, eye level? 3 used to be his favorite number. What's going on in her mind? What would motivate someone to do this? The worst possible crime deserves the worst possible punishment. Look into his eyes, and in one strong, unified voice, tell him he deserves to die for what he did to Christiana Cowan on January 22nd, 2003.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bailiff will escort you to the jury room to begin your deliberations. Court's recess.
All right.
So the publicity at its peak, the suspense, I mean, maybe his jury will be out a couple of hours. You know, maybe this is...
They're not going to make a decision in a couple hours. They're going to be out deliberating tomorrow morning.
Oh, well. Difficult to think about having to start with his jury out. That's just bizarre, isn't it? You ever heard of a situation like that where they would do that?
This case has to be one of the most horrendous I have ever been involved with.
Nobody came to help her. Nobody came to get this man off her. Verdict. You got a deal. Subject to Monique's approval.
Guilty.
We've seen her in court with her brother laughing like it's another.
I'm really starting to second guess if that was the best thing to do.
You know, I know it's the right thing, but I still feel like shit. Let the praise begin.
3-year-old Christy Cowan was killed, and her 10-year-old sister
Christiana and Brittany were stabbed. 19-year-old Bo Maestas and his 16-year-old sister Monique have now been charged with murder.
Bo is saying basically you were there, you didn't do anything.
Death and nothing less for what he did.
She was trying to stab a little girl in the organs, and she just kept stabbing.
It's crucial that he not get death for us.
I am asking you for life. Please give life.
What I do in capital cases is I tell the jury, how does someone go from being an innocent child, a baby in their arms, to sitting right here? Try to understand how that could happen. But if you take a child, you abuse that child, you beat that child, you call that child loser. I saw a card where your mama sent to both say, hey loser, hey piece of shit, hail Satan. You know, your mother worships Satan. Whereas my mom, most people in America, they take their children to church and they want to have their children have some sense of God and good. Your mother taught you guys to be evil, but the jury doesn't care. They haven't taken it yet. They're going to take it now. I called David Roger. I called and left a message.
Well, why don't we go if they're waiting for it now? We'll go over there and see what's going to happen. Maybe we can talk to Mosley.
Okay, I'll put our court close.
Don't know anything about that, but...
All right, jury. Department 14 is now in session. Judge Donald Mosley presiding. Please be seated.
The continuation of C-19-1934, State of Edwards Bo Santino Maestas. The record reflect the presence of the defendant and his counsel, Mr. Onos and Mr. Erickson. We have Mr. Swartz present for the state. Mr. Roger, we're trying to locate, but we don't know exactly where he is. Appreciate that.
No, it would be slow for death, slow for life with, quick for life without. It's compromise.
Has the jury reached a verdict in the matter? Would you hand it, please, the bill? Clerk, we read aloud the verdict and inquire of the jurors if, in fact, it is their verdict.
District Court, Clark County, Nevada. The State of Nevada plaintiff versus Bo Santino Maestas defendant. Case number C-191934. Verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, having found unanimously and beyond a reasonable doubt that the aggravating circumstance outweighs any mitigating circumstance or circumstances, impose a sentence of death. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is your verdict is read? So say you one, so say you all. Panel's answered affirmative, Your Honor.
Very well. We'll set the matter for a time certain for formal sentencing. Let's accomplish that in approximately a week, if that's agreed with counsel.
Yes, sir.
All right. Court services, so date.
On August 30th, 9 a.m.
You may take the defendant. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your service. Court's adjourned.
All rise. Okay, we'll call you back.
He said no matter what he got, he wanted to testify.
I can't get in now anyway. But so we can do is get over here a little bit early and see if we can catch her in the back to give you time. And then maybe Dave will show up. That's what I know. I was so confident it was a compromised verdict.
It's so fast.
It's fast.
It's very fast. How do you congratulate someone because a human being is going to die? Congratulations, Dave. I don't understand.
Is everybody happy in there?
I don't understand how anybody can be happy that a human being, that all of the tragedy that goes on in these cases, and how anybody can, congratulations, is beyond me.
I agree.
It's sickening. It makes me sick to my stomach.
I agree. You gave it all you got?
Well, we start at 1:30. We have the sister. At least they can't kill her. She's
You got
got
her at
basic
1:30?
girl. We start picking a jury at 1:30.
Need a hug?
I always need a hug from you, Nate. It's such a bummer. It is. It's such a bummer.
I know.
You have reached the office of District Attorney David Roger. Please leave a message and your call will be returned as soon as possible.
Hi, Dave. It's Alzora again. How are you? You know, I'm a very optimistic person, and in light of Bo receiving the ultimate punishment, you know, I still have some hope that we can resolve the rest of this tragedy. You know, I think that the jury has spoken, and we're not so far apart, really. And I'm thinking about that little 10-year-old girl having to relive this. So either I'll see you over there, I'll be in my office until we have to head over. I know you have a lot on your plate, but it is my desire. I think we can resolve this. Give me a call, buddy. Bye-bye. So we'll head over about 1, boss?
Yeah, yep.
Well, I'm just going to follow your lead on picking the jury. What do we do? Just talk about it?
Well, they got to know that Bo got death, I would think. I think we have to ask them, do you realize that the co-defendant, Bo, pled guilty to first-degree murder? Do you realize that he's been sentenced to death? Because if Bo comes in and testifies, that's going to come out, right?
This is such a bizarre case.
And if that jury gave Bo death that quickly, what's if the jury believes that she's involved, what are they going to give her? They're going to give her life without. This jury would have given her death. This sucks.
It's horrible, actually. Well, I'm gonna go check and see if Roger called me back. To his, in his defense, I thought he was avoiding me. Swartz says he had a meeting from 9 to 11, so I think now I got one more point to pitch. Oh my God, it's Dave Roger. Dave? Thanks for calling me back. I really do appreciate it. Well, you know, I was just wondering, we really don't want to have to go through a full-blown trial. Okay, so you're willing at this point to, you're backing up off the life without the possibility of parole. You're willing to offer life with the possibility of parole? Of course, that would be with the use of a deadly weapon. So eligibility would be 40 years, eligible for parole. Would that be sufficient? He wants an attempt murder for the other victim, for Brittany. Can you guys agree to run it concurrent with the murder? Because we're going to go see her now. I don't know if she's in holding. We can get in. What time can we get in, Maribel?
Right after lunch, maybe 1 o'clock.
We'll be there right at 1 o'clock. So you'll go life with, and then for the young lady, the girl who was maimed, you want an attempt murder, but you have no position with regards to whether or not that will run concurrent or consecutive. You leave it up to Judge Mosley. You got a deal. Subject to Monique's approval.
We'll be back.
So even if Mosley gave you consecutive time, Monique, you're young. I want you to have a chance to get out before you're my age. I'm 50, and look how young I am. Bo will have a chance to fight this case if you could get out in 20 years and help him.
You're saying do 20 years flat?
Not 20 flat. You get paroled. You see your first board. Everything else gets commuted and you've got a chance. But if they give you life without, you guys are both stuck forever.
Right.
Forever.
They wouldn't appeal it, basically, right?
It'll be all, you can appeal it, but you're not gonna win. We have no issues.
Okay. If you feel it's the best thing, then I think we should do what you say.
Let me talk to them and I'll be back. I want them to get a plea agreement. She's willing to take the offer. We need to get Roger down here with a plea agreement.
He's in the back.
See what I thought I heard?
Can we get a plea agreement? Murder with, life with, attempt murder with, and the right to argue.
I'll call the secretary.
This is the kind of case that could come back with her claiming undue pressure because at the last minute she's taking a deal. I want to be sure that all three of us are in there and that she understands when she's saying yes to what she's saying, so that if it ever comes to testimony time, we all have heard the same thing. Of course, this decision on Bo is very frightening for us.
Right.
That just shows how much the community has rallied around the hatred that they've developed and isn't extending sympathy to anyone other than probably the girl in the wheelchair. We know that she picked you out of the lineup as being there. That puts us into a real problem of them coming back with first degree. They're going to give you life without. It's almost like being dead in prison. Life with allows you the chance to take your college classes. Now, don't make a face at me, okay? I'm trying to talk to you about your best interest and what can happen.
But it's the right thing to do. I feel it with every fiber of my being.
Well, it helps our little victim, Brittany.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, here's a clip.
Thank you.
She can sign it on.
Thank you, Tom.
Sign and ready to go. We'll get the judge in, we'll get it all done, 1, 2, 3.
All right. Oh, she done changed her mind.
How long is this going to take? 20 minutes?
At the most.
And when they ask me, what happened, will you please just tell me what to say?
We'll help you, okay? She's just concerned that she says the right thing, so if you can really help her out there when it comes to that.
I'll just facilitate what you need to say, okay?
Yes, please do.
All rise. Article 14 is now in session. Judge Donald Moser presiding. Seated.
Calling C-19-1934, State of Idaho versus Monique Miestas. Matter scheduled for jury trial. I'm informed that it may be resolved. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Negotiations are, please.
Your Honor, it's my understanding the defendant's going to enter a plea of guilty to first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon, count 1, and in count 2, attempt murder with use of a deadly weapon. And the state has agreed on count 1 to a sentence of life imprisonment with the possibility of parole, and a consecutive sentence of life imprisonment with the possibility of parole.
Mr. Sheik, Mr. Jackson, is that your understanding?
That's correct, and the argument would also be as to whether it's concurrent or consecutive, count 1 to count 2.
Understood. Ms. Miestas, would you stand, please? Do you understand these negotiations?
Yes.
What is your plea to count 1, first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon, a felony, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
And you are aware that that carries the enhancement
Yes.
of identical terms, is that correct?
Yes.
Any questions about that?
No.
As to count 2, attempt murder with use of a deadly weapon, a felony, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Do you believe these negotiations are in your best interest, given all the facts of the case?
Yes.
Ma'am, what did you do on or about the 22nd day of January of the year 2003 that caused you to enter a plea of guilty to first-degree murder with the use of a deadly weapon?
I assisted my brother and went into a trailer with knives. Things got out of control. And one child was stabbed and paralyzed, and another was killed.
Is it alleged by the state that this was a direct act or aiding and abetting her brother in this act? Count 1.
Actually, it's both, Your Honor.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Count 2, attempt murder with use of a deadly weapon, had to do with Brittany. Do you understand?
Yes.
And it's alleged, I haven't read it, but I'm sure I understand it. It's alleged that you did actually stab and assist your brother in stabbing this young lady, which resulted in her being paralyzed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that would amount to attempt murder legally, and do you acknowledge that, ma'am?
Yes.
Court finds defendant's pleas of guilty are freely and voluntarily given. The defendant understands the nature of the offenses and the consequences of her pleas. I therefore accept the pleas of guilty. Sentence be had in approximately, yes.
Your Honor, I have quite a few pieces of evidence I want the court to be aware of, and probably even one witness. We're talking if the court could possibly give us a couple of hours one morning.
I'd be happy to receive any relevant information.
We will be grateful,
I
Your
am
Honor.
a little reluctant, more than a little at this point, in inviting testimony, witnesses.
I'm not sure if they have a legal right to present live witnesses at the sentencing hearing.
Well, the law enables relevant evidence of various kinds to come forth. It does not contemplate live testimony, although I think it's discretionary to some extent. September 22nd is a Friday. Is that a good date?
That's fine. Thank you so much, Your Honor. We do appreciate it.
Anything further?
Nothing, nothing, Your Honor.
Friday's vacated, of course. Court's adjourned.
All rise.
All right, sweetie.
How satisfied are you with the punishment? I'm not very satisfied. You know, it was always my opinion that Monique should be on death row with her brother. But the U.S. Supreme Court came down with a decision a couple of years ago which prohibited the execution of people under the age of 18. So when we're talking about a matter of years and, you know, young Brittany's mental well-being, it made sense to allow her to enter this plea.
When the jury came back so quickly and so soundly with death, I don't think that it would have mattered a whole lot what we presented, that they would give my client the harshest sentence available. And that did have some impact. This case has kept me awake at night in ways that no other case has. I haven't had nightmares since my first capital case over 7, 8 years ago. This case is very troubling for so many reasons. I'm a mother. I'm a human being. And you know, obviously, some people have the ability to cope and rebound back from things, and others don't. And those are the ones that are my clients. Oh, David, I think I know we did the right thing.
Would have killed us.
Oh, got it. Yeah. I see. We're done. Yeah. I'm gonna be vexed here. Letter.
Are you serious?
I mean, I feel shitty, but I know it was the best thing to do. You ever do that though, where you take the lesser of an evil? And I still feel like I might want to cry, but we pled her to first degree with the use, life with, attempt with the use. So if he runs everything wild, she's got 44 at the low end, not 56. He run everything wild, but it still gives her the ability to not be restricted by the life without. Life without is
She can
never do anything and never have it committed or anything.
Right.
I was surprised at how amenable she was to it when I told her that Bo got death. She didn't know. She did not know Bo got death.
Leslie would have given her life without.
Oh,
she didn't?
No.
They're getting like this full like sentencing hearing. Like he has set aside one morning or one afternoon to hear a full hearing with the presentation, with possible witnesses. It's
although you know what he
But
said.
there is no right to argue.
We got a right to argue for concurrent.
Oh, for concurrent time. Okay.
You know, I know it's the right thing, but I still feel like shit. Because it's just a shitty case.
Good lawyering means damage control. The fact that you were able to assist her to make the right decision, I think, is a job well done.
Well, thank you, Lee. It just doesn't feel good
like
right
shit,
now. You
but-
just feel like, I don't know, either like I want to cry or hurl. I can't decide which one. Thank you. How do we feel today?
It's fine.
I want to say this to you. Your mom is your mom, but your mom, she actually got into a big fight with your sister, and the cops were called because she says Misty is lying when Misty.
Did she hurt her physically? Did she hurt Misty?
No, Misty's fine. Misty emailed me today, and Misty thanked me for the plea agreement.
Really?
Yes. She thanked me, and she said it's the right thing, and that she apologized for the way her family act, but I don't blame her for that, you know, about your mom and your aunt. Your aunt pissed me off yesterday too.
Really?
She's going on and on and on about why are you pleading, and I can't give her a law course, but I knew you would get a lot of people telling you, oh, you know, your lawyers.
Why did you take that? Why did you take that? You were only 16. Why did you take that? And I'm really starting to second guess if that was the best thing to do.
I knew they were going to do that, and they don't know your case, and they don't know the law. Because you were 16, you weren't eligible for the death penalty. Monique, if we're not for that case that came from the U.S. Supreme Court, I think that any jury in Clark County would have done just what Dave Roger asked them to do, and that would be to put you on death row.
I understand, but it just feels bad. They're like, you waited here 4 years. Your brother, you know, pleaded guilty to everything to give you a better shot at trial, and you know, why are you going to do that to him?
No, it's not like that. And Bo will tell you that. We couldn't see Bo yesterday because he was on the suicide watch. But he will tell you that you did the right thing. Why throw away your life when you have a chance to program and to maybe have some life, some ability to get out? See, life without parole here in Nevada, I don't care what anybody tells you, it means that.
Right.
Nobody can commute that, not even the governor. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to have a life with, because if things do change, a life with, you're able to be eligible for those changes.
We're arguing to run the sentences
concurrent.
And what if he,
Just to let you know, I'm stationing this officer right here.
Okay.
He's not going anywhere.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Very good.
Oh, wow. Arguing to run a concurrent. Can we talk about this in front of the officer?
Yeah, this is stuff that's not confidential. They have to stay here.
All right.
Yeah.
Arguing to run this concurrent.
Yeah, we're going to argue to run it concurrent.
What if he doesn't grant it?
It's one battle we'll have to fight. You're going to have some tough days ahead. I know that. And you're going to need support. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to doubt a second guess. That's normal. I would never, ever, ever tell you anything that I wouldn't tell my daughters of your age. And God forbid they ever was in this situation. But if they were, I would have told them the same thing. And God is my witness. And I'm a believer. It sucks. It doesn't feel good. But I know from the crown of my head to the tip of my toe that we did the right thing. And it doesn't feel good because it's a bad situation. But it's the best we could do.
Hey, Al.
Hey.
How you feeling?
Oh, you know, looking at this stuff on me, that's just getting ready for sentencing. If we can convince the court through the mitigation that we have, her molestations, you know, the drug addiction, and for crying out loud, her age, 16. We can get him to run the second attempt murder concurrent with the murder. We're looking at her about 40 to 44 years. But she's 20 years old. She gets out her late 50s, early 60s. On the other hand, if the judge runs everything consecutive, then she's basically looking at a life sentence anyway. She's looking at getting out when she's in her mid to late 70s, you know, even approaching 80, which is
rough.
It's rough because realistically, as a defender, I'm asking myself, what is the difference between this and life without?
The difference is you have a shot to ask for it. She's got life with, which she could have possibly not got with the jury. She's got a chance for him to run a concurrent, which, I mean, you and I know that's may not happen.
And I still think that she's got a real good shot, assuming that she programs well, to get out in her late 50s, early 60s versus 80, which is, you know, that's a huge 20-year differential.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Good luck, girl.
Thanks. I'm gonna need it.
I'm confessing my sins.
Hallelujah.
Lord, you said if they call you, you'll answer.
Y'all be listening for my name, Jesus.
Lord, we're coming home. And
Here
for
you go.
every day will be Sunday. Saturday will have New Year. For the wicked will stay from trouble. And the wicked will be in man.
Love you, Lord.
Lord, we want to thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
In Jesus' name, would you pray?
Yes, Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
And amen.
Amen. In here? Okay.
In terms of sentencing, he has heard a lot of information about the family at Bo's penalty hearing. But I think what's important and specific to Monique is her sexual abuse.
I agree.
So I think we're going to have to take our time and present that to Judge Mosley and have that pretty much be our theme in terms of how damaged she was, you know, as a little girl. So if you could take me through that.
All right, well, I'm going to go back to when she was in second grade. And this was a time in her life when her mother was trying to learn how to drive trucks. So her mother had to pretty much disperse her kids among family members. And Monique, approximately 6, 7 years old, she was sent to her Aunt Virginia's house.
Okay, now, Virginia on our chart here is...
Virginia is going to be a sister of her father, Harry.
Harry's sister.
Virginia left her home and her kids and moved in with Robert.
She took Monique with her?
Yeah. Monique told me that Robert would abuse her, molest her. And she told her aunt, but Virginia pretty much dismissed it and said that if she said anything that she would send her back to her mother's house. So she goes back to her mom, but her mom is, you know, is not stable in terms of relationships. There's a lot of partying, a lot of guys coming in and out of the home. Her mom eventually hooks up with Ed.
Okay.
And her mother is busy working his steam cleaning company, working long hours. She's not really around.
Okay.
And he begins to molest her. She said, there's nothing I can do to fight back with this big, scary, bald white man. Okay?
You know, it's just...
And this is Ed.
Look at him.
Yeah, I know.
He's huge.
It's horrible.
I would say 6'5", 6'6", 280, 290. And then he's abusing
imagine
this
the
child.
control that he had over this child.
You know, especially with a judge like Mosley, he actually is not, you know, if we don't tell him the degree of the molestation, he's going to assume it's heavy petty.
We're talking now, you know, prepubescent girl.
She's actually admitted to me that that was full-blown intercourse.
Okay.
But you have this side of the family, I think, starting with Grandpa Gus, who's, whenever he saw the grandkids, his initial request was, show me your chi-chis, let's see how big they are. You know, you've got this son of a bitch who's kind of like, he just infects this whole family with this incest and child molestation, and so it becomes a norm.
Yeah.
Her eyes look so sad. All of the sparkle is gone. They've sucked away her childhood. Inside, she's screaming, but nothing is ever said. When asked, how can Monique participate in a brutal assault on a 3-year-old child? I think when one looks at this face and you go back to what happened to her and how much repressed anger, how much she hurt. Nobody came to help her. Nobody came to get this man off her. Or this man, or this man, or this man. birthday. It appears that we are on for this Thursday, which is the 5th. Misty will be here.
Okay.
I'm having her flown in Wednesday, and then she'll leave Thursday. Okay. So we have the pre-sentence report. Do want to make sure, however, it's accurate because in DLC we'll look at this. The identifying information appears to me to be correct. Is your date of birth correct?
No.
What is your date of birth?
There's that one. It's 5286. They always put that one.
Okay. That needs to be corrected. That's why we do take a moment and go over this. Do you have a problem with the last paragraph in page 5? He admitted to using a very small amount of methamphetamine and much earlier in the day had not been drinking any alcohol. That is not true. I disbelieve that, and I know that's not to be true. You guys were binging. I know that. I know this case. And I don't like that statement in there, so I will take exception to that.
Okay. Very small amount.
That is bullshit.
4 days, you know, it's a very small amount.
Yeah, a 4-day binge. The truth of the matter is, what happened to you and Bo was a failure of the system. Mm-hmm. It was a tragedy what happened to Brittany, but Brittany's life, some of the same tragedies that happened to you was happening to that child. She'd been molested multiple times, exposed to drugs, left alone. I mean, all of the same, some of the same things. It's tragic. There's no other word for it. And I think out of the people in this case who knows what her life would have been like, you are the one who's had the most experience to know what her life would have been like. And that cycle has been stopped. Mm-hmm. It was stopped in the most horrible way, but it is what it is. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, her life should hopefully be improved.
Yeah, this child will have the chance now to be whatever she liked to be. And, you know, I'm not saying being in a wheelchair is a good thing, but the help that came for her never came for you.
The first time we saw Brittany Bergeron, she was on a gurney. Now, nearly 4 years later, she's wheeling herself around. You would think a little girl who's been through so much wouldn't be able to smile like this.
I don't like the people who did it to me, but I'm not going to say, you know, that I wish they would die and stuff like that. It's actually kind of a good thing that it happened because I'm active, I'm healthy, and it's just a lot better lifestyle.
Ashanti Blaze, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
Monique, are you in there?
They're gonna ask me to get up and say something, right?
Yes, sweetheart.
Can I say that? Edit it for me.
Who did it?
I said edit it for me.
Okay. Well, let's put Mom in the middle. That's number one. Okay. Don't start out talking about your mother.
Okay.
Okay, let's move Mom down here somewhere. Let's start out with there's nothing I can say.
Okay.
That'll be number one. I really like what you say to Brittany, and I believe that the essence of what you're saying is awesome. And so with that in mind, I added this. I feel in my heart that your future will be better than your past in spite of your disability. My heart goes out to you.
Okay.
You okay with that?
That's a pretty ending.
Yeah. Tomorrow, if the cameras are there, just look at me. And just look at me. It'll be okay. I'll be there for you. We'll get through it.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
I think we're very proud of the work we've done. And I love you.
Love you too.
Bye-bye, sweetie. Bye. Oh, I forgot. I can't just leave when I get ready. Okay, thank you, sir. I'm going to get out of your way, and you can get Misty up, and we'll be out of your hair.
Sure, no problem. Out of my hair, I like that.
Oh, what a great sense of humor you have.
You know what? I'm going to have to arrest you for battering an office.
I'm just amazed at how, no matter what how awful a parent is. Children adore their parents. She wanted to start out by apologizing to her piece of shit mother. I don't think so. You gotta, hi guys, thank you. How are you doing? All right. And I just didn't think that was an appropriate way to start out. The mother needs to be horsewhipped every day for the rest of her life for what she did to those children. And I'd be happy to whip them.
Monique, may I ask this, or anything you care to say before your attorney speaks?
Your Honor, with the court's permission, she has prepared some comments that she'd like to address to the court.
First, there's nothing I can say to repair the damage that's been done or replace the life and innocence that's been lost. I've thought about this tragic situation every day for nearly 4 years now. I understand how many lives were altered needlessly. I never foresaw anything like this occurring to me or my brother as extremely out of character. I'd like to apologize to my family for hurting and disappointing them. To their surviving victim, Brittany, I'd like to say that I'm so very sorry for everything you've endured. And I'm happy that you are in a new home among responsible adults who will raise you in the loving, nurturing, and structured environment that you were deprived of. I believe that you are being victimized long before this tragedy ever occurred, and you've experienced more pain than any child deserves to experience. I feel in my heart that your future will be better in spite of your disability. My heart goes out to you. I'm sorry for everything.
Your Honor, thank you. Your Honor, I fully recognize that the court has heard a lot in general about the family, but there were some things that I felt incumbent upon me to say about my client. Certainly the facts of this case are horrific. We protect children in our society, and rightly we should. And I have provided for the court just a short history of the sexual molestation that Monique underwent. It began with, on my Exhibit 1, there's a gentleman in the first picture holding her beard. That's her grandfather. He was the first person who began molesting her. And then right above that picture is an uncle, a paternal uncle, who's aptly named Uncle Pokey. We were able to determine that this individual also began molesting my client at a very young age. As you look at the second page of photographs, there's a very large man with his hand around a child's shoulder. If you look at that child's face, this court tries many sexual assault cases. The court has probably seen that face on some of the victims of some of the cases. This man is about 6'3", he weighs 300 pounds, and this is the man that was molesting my client from the age of about 9 until she was about 13. Monique was very concerned about the victim having to testify, and that's one of the main considerations of her coming in to plead guilty. She also, Your Honor, can understand Brittany on a level that probably none of us can, because we do know that this child had been subject to the same type of treatment as my client. I think that in terms of her willingness to admit culpability, the district attorney's office agreed that life without possibility would not be appropriate, and they recognized that there was some mitigation here, and they acceptance of responsibility. All we're asking this court to do is to honor that and to run the attempt murder count concurrent. And we'd ask the court to follow the recommendations. And thank you for listening, Judge.
Your Honor, may I respond to Ms. Jackson? As you recall, it was Monique who was able to get Brittany to open the door by stating that your mom is hurt very, very bad, and she wants you guys to accompany me. So Brittany opened the door, and then the carnage began. Sabrina Bantham sat in the car outside of the trailer, and when the both defendants returned to the car, Monique made the following statement: "I just kept on stabbing her, and I kept trying to hit her in organs, like the main organs, but I couldn't. I just kept on stabbing. And then when the officers were questioning Sabrina asked her who stabbed who, it was obvious to the officers that Monique was talking about stabbing Brittany and that Bo was involved in stabbing Christiana. Additionally, Your Honor, two men heard the following, quote, is Monique speaking, "No, Mom, we both had knives," end quote. Next quote, "I cut him," meaning Bo, "when we were doing it." And Brittany's wounds, I submit to this court, were inflicted 99% by Monique Maestas. She's deserving of the maximum punishment available for the crime of attempt murder with use of a deadly weapon. Additionally, in Ms. Jackson's sentencing memorandum, Ms. Jackson states that Monique has performed the ultimate act of remorse, contrition, and acceptance of responsibility by pleading guilty. And the newspapers have been covering this trial, this penalty hearing. We've seen her in court with her brother laughing like it's another day at the
don't
park.
object to this. This is not the.
He has
This
a
is.
right to make his observation, and then you can respond.
And we've seen her giving the finger to whoever she's giving the finger to that appears in the RJ. So with that, Your Honor, we would again urge this court to sentence her to the maximum, run it consecutive to the life sentences.
All right. Anything further to be said?
I believe the court is ready to rule.
Well, I would concede that both these individuals pled guilty to the underlying charges. The court is mindful of that. On the other side of the equation, I have to say that this case has to be one of the most horrendous I have ever been involved with over the many, many years I've been on the bench. It is a tragedy all the way around for you two who are charged, and certainly the two that are victims, and all the many family members and friends. It's just a disaster. Brought on, and I'm not excusing your actions in any way, but in my mind, brought on in large part by the use of this scourge in our community, narcotics. And then I hear people wanting to legalize marijuana. It makes me so mad well, we won't go into my personal bents, I suppose. With that said, we're going to begin with Monique Maestas, count one. Life imprisonment, possibility of parole after 20 years, and an identical term of life imprisonment, possibility of parole after 20 years as the enhancement by virtue of the use of a deadly weapon. By operation of law, that must run consecutively. Count two, 192 months in prison, eligible for after 43 months. These terms will run consecutively with one another. In my calculations, and it's not exact, but we're talking about eligibility for parole after over 47 years, which puts Ms. Maestas at approximately 65 years old.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I believe there was some credit for time served.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. 1,329 days, and that was calculated when I made my estimate as to the
Yes, sir.
eligibility for parole.
Yes, Your Honor.
As to Bo Maestas, count four, by virtue of the jury's finding and in light of the circumstances the court is mindful of, the death penalty is imposed. Mr. Maestas will be taken to a place of execution and put to death in the manner prescribed by law, which is lethal injection. This will be during the week of the 11th of December, as prescribed by statute. That's all.
I have a personal question. I apologize, and this might be hard, but the man that had abused your sister from age 9 to 13, who was that?
That was one of my mother's boyfriends, live-in boyfriends.
Okay. Were you subjected to attackers?
Not nearly as many as my sister, but yes.
Is she your older or younger sister? I'm assuming younger?
Yes, I'm the oldest, and Bo's the middle, and Monique is the youngest.
It seems like you haven't got caught up, or either that or you're past it now in the same kind of life that they were in. Were you always kind of watching over them?
Always. You know, I helped raise my brother and sister, and you know, we've always stuck together, and we'll continue to stick together. You know, we've always been very close, and I don't see that changing.
eligible for parole when she's going to be 65, is that correct?
Yeah, he did the math and make her 65, 67 years old before she's ever eligible, and then who makes her first bullet?
Now, Monique was whispering some things to you, obviously upset at what the prosecutor was saying.
Yeah.
Can you share with me what she said to you?
Well, she was grumbling. I don't like this. This is unfair. She was responding to David Schwartz's, which was nothing more than grandstanding. I mean, she's pled guilty. If she had done no more than hold the other child down, you think I would have pled her to first-degree murder and attempt murder? I think that I'm a better defender than that. Of course there was more evidence there.
Okay, that's all I need. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. God bless. Thanks for staying with me.
A mother weeps after losing her 9-year-old daughter. Genesis Estrada was shot to death while playing outside her North Las Vegas apartment on Civic Center Drive. Pascual Lozano stands trial for her murder.
We're scared for you, Pascual.
Medicine, man. I ain't nothing about that, man. He knows he puts his mom in jeopardy, Monica, Susie, everybody.
Ain't no honor in getting a death penalty for somebody else.
We're here to find out who pulled the trigger.
Who did it?
Trail man. Von Trail.
Von Trail.
All right, I finally got a good lead.